Chicago public schools are laying off more than 1,400 workers, including 400 teachers, as the city faces a $734 million budget shortfall. That's coming up next on Educated.
Let's get educated. That's why we're here, to bring you the stories impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses. It's time for a little education.
Hello, everyone. I am Katie Petra, joined by Mr. David Fiorazzo, and since it is Monday, this is Educated. Now, before we get started, this is your last week, final week. It's the final countdown, everyone, to enroll in live courses for the fall at Freedom Project Academy. All you have to do to get started is visit freedomforschool.com and use the code EDUCATED15 to save 15% on all courses. So if I were you, I would get to it. Now, our first story here is all the way in Chicago. Chicago is the third largest school district in the nation, so let's think about that. Now, they are facing just a little bit of a shortfall when it comes to the dollars and cents, and so they have announced layoffs of more than 1,400 district workers, and of that, it's more than 400 teachers. Now, here's the deal, everyone. It's Chicago Public Schools, and they do this pretty much every June. And if I worked for Chicago Public Schools, I just wouldn't, because you can expect every June to be sitting on the edge of your seat going, do I have a job or do I not? This year, they have a total of 1,458 employees being laid off, which is a 3.2% increase from last year at this time when there were 1,410 layoffs. So every year you are sitting there wondering, do I have a job? And the thing is, a lot of them will be, I guess, rehired, because how many of those who, I guess, were able to maintain their job then have decided to leave the district for, we can guess why. But it's just, every year this happens to Chicago, and yet we have to report on it every year because they spend hundreds of millions of dollars more than they should. And so let's take a look at actually what is happening and how is it that Chicago is in the situation it is every single year.
This is the place where we need you.
Asking parents, students, and CPS staff
My school's a small magnet school.
for their ideas to fix the looming $734 million budget shortfall.
The money is there, so we need to tap into it. But
A listening session where they didn't hold back the feedback.
I had to learn how to navigate my voice and speak up when it's something that I need.
Some participants surprised by what they heard.
I knew that we were in a financial deficit. I just had no idea how big that number actually was. So that was kind of alarming to hear.
District leaders say pension obligations, building maintenance, and services for students with disabilities are among the factors driving the deficit, giving some general money-making ideas for participants, like exploring TIFs, cuts to staff or programs, renegotiating contracts or furloughs and loans. But the ideas came from all angles.
Like, why are they just sitting there? Like, why don't CPS think about doing something with those buildings? That's money.
nothing is mentioned about these marijuana shops popping up.
A growing chorus of suggestions, district leaders tasked now with turning them into one harmonious budget.
So, David, it's the teachers, the parents, everyone else left to, okay, you guys, let's get together, come up with some crazy ideas as to what we can do so maybe we get some money back and maybe we don't have to every single June lay off 1,400 people, which is 1,400 families who have children, who have bills and obligations. Do I have a job? Do I not have a job? Here we go. Let's see what happens. As our friend Pat said, Chicago, LA, New York are cooked. That's what the new terms are. Saying you're cooked means you're dead, you're out, you're destroyed. It's not a good thing, but definitely Chicago is cooked. What do you have to say?
Yeah, well, isn't there a history of mismanagement of funding? Oh my goodness. Everything's coming from the federal level, and Chicago, Baltimore, Atlanta, LA, New York. Why do we have the same? It's like It's insanity, really. It's trying to, you do the same thing over and over, expect different results. Sorry, reality doesn't work that way. But so last year, what was it? 480 teachers laid off
Yep.
last year. This year, over 400. Sadly, a total of 1,458. And as you said, that represents that many families. And it's sad, but listen to this. There is a $734 million budget shortfall. Okay, what do you do with that? You continue to mismanage it. What are they expecting? Oh, I know. We'll get the unions to ask for more money to be sent to the edge for Chicago, and that's how they fix everything, right? Fix, and it's not a
yeah.
fix.
Well, I mean, these unions, they do such wonders for everyone. They provide such results and such. What does Corey DeAngelis have to say about it?
Anybody want to guess how much we spend per student, average? $20,000 per student. That's about 60% higher than the average private school tuition in this country. They get worse results, and the spending has increased over time by about 170%, even after adjusting for inflation since 1970. Teacher salaries have been flat since that time. They've only increased 3%. The money goes towards administrative bloat, people like Randy Weingarten, who make over $500,000 a year, people like Becky Pringle, she's the head of the NEA, the largest teachers union in the country. She makes over $500,000 a year as well. They are basically a money laundering operation for the Democrat Party. 99% of the campaign contributions from the teachers unions go to Democrats every single election cycle. Wash, rinse, repeat.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for summarizing that so aptly.
Wash, rinse, repeat. Thank you, Corey. So much truth in there. Was that 60% more than the average, was it homeschooling?
Private school, yeah, everything.
And the results, not even close? The outcomes of that? How are people going to learn? How are they going to learn? They keep doing this over and over and over.
Well, David, is the objective to learn? That's the real question. Is it?
That's
Aha! There's the rub.
Point.
So, interesting, he mentioned 1970. What was happening around that time? Did we turn away from, I don't know, homeschooling or one-room schoolhouses even, or any of that type of a more local control over the school system, and then we kind of decided to farm it out maybe to what was that called? Oh yes, the Department of Education.
Thank you, Jimmy Carter.
Thank you, Jimmy. And by thank you, we mean no thank you. But hey, friends, we have maybe some positivity coming out of this next story, because we may be able to eliminate that Department of Education that has been around for, what are we at, 50 some years now. SCOTUS, which, if you don't know, is the Supreme Court, has lifted the block on President Trump's plan to dismantle the Department of Education. We know that eliminating the bloat in Washington is very much needed, and it's now allowed because, as I said, the Supreme Court has ruled that the Trump administration can proceed with mass layoffs within the U.S. Department of Education. Now, back in March, all the way back in March, Trump had already said yes to dismantling the department. And when he decided to have Linda McMahon become the education secretary, her direct orders were to work herself out of a job, because we want to dismantle this education department. And it seems like she, one, is A-okay with it, and two, is fighting for it. So that's awesome. So let's refresh our minds as to what President Trump is actually trying to do.
It was a promise he made on the campaign trail.
Your state is going to control your children's education.
Now, President Trump's plan for the Department of Education, tested and passed through the Supreme Court, can be put into action. States already administer their schools' curriculum and, along with local governments, are responsible for most of the funding in public schools. The federal Department of Education oversees billions of dollars that largely go to students in low-income communities and those with disabilities. It also enforces civil rights laws within school systems. And within the department itself, the layoffs of more than 1,000 workers paused by a lower court are now able to proceed. The emergency Supreme Court decision gave no majority opinion, but Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote a dissent backed by the court's two other liberal justices. In it, she argues the unconstitutionality of letting the president decide the fate of a department created by Congress, writing, "The majority is either willfully blind to the implications of its ruling or naive, but either way, the threat to our Constitution's separation of powers is grave." Education advocates warn the cuts will leave vulnerable students without critical services, from special education to financial aid. The administration has suggested some of the DOE's core functions, like federal student loans, could be taken over by other agencies, like the Treasury Department. Education Secretary Linda McMahon celebrating the Supreme Court's decision.
I'm just incredibly pleased that the authority was reinstated where it should be. This lifts the handcuffs off of what we've been trying to do.
There you go. So a little fun fact, I was in D.C. not that long ago, and I was staying in a hotel directly across from the education department. And it's a sad building to look at. And in the morning, on a normal workday, there were so many offices that were just black. Just lights were off, no one's home. It kind of summarizes, I think, what the whole education department really is. Except the lights are off, not on. But
Literally,
still, no one's home.
No one's home.
So it's good that this is actually going through.
Yeah, and just a dose of reality. The word dismantle, I understand it. Maybe people smarter than me chose that for effect. But from what I understand, it's almost impossible to dismantle the whole department or in education, but to restructure it is a completely different thing, and to put money where it's needed and take money and save money where you can. There's a lot of things they're doing here. It's not just about wiping it out completely, because that's the idea. Some maybe conservatives that are maybe not aware of how this thing works. So it's not going to be dismantled, but I understand that's the effect they're trying to have, because it's been this poison, this cancer on young children for generations now, the education system. So yes, you've got to start somewhere. So I applaud what they're doing, and I hope they can make more progress.
And it is important, like you said, to distinguish really what they mean by this. Yeah. It has been bloated and bloated and bloated and bloated. At some point, you get so bloated that you look at yourself in the mirror and say, whoa, I need to go on a diet. It's not working. And what needs to happen is it needs to come back to only handle the core functions that it is able to handle and is the only appropriate department maybe to handle, which is, what is it that they really do that I guess the state and locals couldn't do? Because as Linda McMahon said, and I'm going to reinforce this, it said it in the news package, but she said that closing the department doesn't mean cutting off funds from those who depend on them. We will continue to support K-12 students with special needs, college student borrowers, and others who rely on essential programs. Do you remember when banks used to handle loans for, if you were going off to college and that, and then all of a sudden, we decided, it's during the Obama administration. Let's just give that power away. And so then everyone was taking out loans, and now look where we are. So when we talk about who is best able to handle certain situations, it's not the education department or Department of Education. It's not them, just so you know. So hopefully something good comes of this. More control back to the states and to local municipalities, because guess what?
Novel idea.
Those people actually understand who your students are a lot better than any bureaucrat in D.C. Well,
thank you.
We have got much more to come, including a new homeschooling trend, now using Disney World as a classroom. And of course, Babylon Bee headlines. Always fantastic time. Back in a moment.
Catch Freedom Project's lineup of shows daily at noon Central. Starting on Monday, we have Educated. On Tuesday, we have the Dr. Duke Show with Vicki McKenna. Wednesday continues with another episode of the Dr. Duke Show with Dr. Jake Jacobs. Thursday, we have One Nation. And Friday, we wrap up the week with another episode of Educated. Catch Freedom Project's lineup of shows daily at noon Central.
Disney World. The Mouse House. It's a magical place. And now, for some homeschool moms, it's actually a classroom. Did you know?
Ugh.
You could be eating a churro over here. This person could be over on the teacups over there, but the person right there in the middle, well, they are learning all about I guess, something, because there are homeschool moms who are taking their kids to Disney World as not just a fun time to get away, but to actually have an educational experience. And they can keep the magic alive all at the same time, David. Let's take a look.
Haley, I am so curious as to how the logistics of all this work. So how do you make Disney your classroom?
So it kind of just looks a little bit like traditional school and a little bit like going to Disney. So in our mornings, we typically will do a little bit more sit-down curriculum type things. And then in the afternoons, usually we will head to the parks and do a little bit more hands-on learning.
Okay, so when you're in the parks, how do you use the unique aspects of each park to teach different subjects? Like, how do you use Epcot versus the Animal Kingdom versus the Magic Kingdom and so on?
Yeah, so at Epcot, of course, there's a lot of geography and different cultures. So we're talking about food and languages, maybe art. And then Animal Kingdom, of course, we're learning about different animal habitats, conservation. And then Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, of course, we're learning about creativity, performance, imagination, storytelling, all those type of things.
Haley, I'm sure this has naysayers. What do you say to critics who say, look, Disney is about entertainment and not education?
Obviously, it's not traditional school, but I think that's okay. I think learning in hands-on ways is always going to be something that's helpful for kids. So it may not be for everybody, but I think for us, it works. So I think as long as you are doing something that works for your kids, whether that's in your city, may not look like going to Disney every day, but however that works for your kids, I think that's great.
Okay, well,
what could go wrong? However that works for your kids. Well, let's find out where those kids end up.
Yes, we'll have to get back to this story in a couple years. But obviously, they live in Orlando, so anyone who has children not from that very specific little region, an ability to drive to the park and to have a yearly membership that doesn't cost you a second mortgage on your home is able to do this. The rest of us, we just go out to the local park for the nature, or we have to go to the library or something like that. Am I going to criticize her as being like, how dare you go to Disney and use that as an educational opportunity? No, absolutely. Go do it. I question, how often is that, like every day they're going to the park and this is where we're going to learn history and this is where we're going to learn culture? Like, that would be bad. But according to her, and there are other moms who obviously are a part of this, they say Epcot can be like the global classroom. If you've been to Epcot, there are 11 countries. You can eat different cuisine from those countries. You can look at, the architecture that they've made and talk to the cast members. So the characters, I guess. In Animal Kingdom, it could be a science lab where you can observe animals and explore conservation messaging. I mean, I feel like you could just go to the zoo for that one as well, but it's okay. Magic Kingdom introduces lessons in storytelling, engineering. Think about how those animatronics move. If you've been to Disney, especially to Magic Kingdom, those animatronics are from, I think, when Walt originally opened the park so many moons ago. And you could even do an economics lesson on when it comes to budgeting and snack credits or understanding souvenir pricing. There could be some twists in there, but it would take whatever parent, mom, dad, or anyone else, you have to be diligent about it. I mean, you have to be very specific and getting whoever the children are to have them be focused and not just, oh, look, let's go on this ride next. Oh, yeah, we'll talk about whatever. Like you have to have them be able to really hone into what you're doing.
I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I want to just jump on what you've said at the last there. That kids at a theme park where it's all about entertainment and the Disney characters, of course they're going to be distracted, right? But this is about homeschooling. And so I'm very skeptical. Not like you said, I'm sure one trip there, you can take them to certain places, you can teach kids certain things. But as an ongoing thing, I mean, I read there that the families spend between $3,000 and $5,000 a year on park tickets, on dining, on Disney merch, of course. And so if they can do it, great. But again, I'd like to see exactly how much they're learning and where their kids, how far ahead their kids get when they're there. I'm sure they're just there to learn. They're not going to go on any rides, right, Katie?
Well, I mean, that would be part of engineering or math skills and the
that's right.
speeds and everything and angles and all of that, right? Right? Eh?
Yeah. She didn't look quite equipped to talk about engineering, at least that young
As
mom
much.
didn't.
But if you do stop and think about it, like you really could develop a lot of lessons on it, but it would take, again, a mom or dad or whoever's the teacher, a lot of work on their part to make sure they're accurate and having a little discipline and intense lessons that really they get something out of it. But there was one mom who also talked about what they would do. Now that mom, by the way, who did speak was a former teacher, and so is this mom, Holly Leary. She's a former middle school teacher. She said even a ride like Pirates of the Caribbean becomes a lesson in economic history. We talked about whether piracy hurt or helped global trade. And she said it's kind of a conversation that sticks more than any textbook page. I mean, when you put it, if you do that much research and understand, then yeah, I guess you could. But again, are you talking the younger grades? I don't know if they'd be focused enough for any of that, and who knows. But mom and dad, don't feel like you have to do this. If you're a homeschooling parent, don't feel like, oh no, now everyone's going to Disney. Now I have to go to Disney. Absolutely not. Go to your local library. It's free. And they probably have free passes, especially during the summer times, to go to various museums for free, to maybe even go to the zoo for free, to get out and just explore nature. That's free. So don't feel like you have to keep up with the Joneses on this one if this is becoming a homeschool mom trend. You don't have to jump on that train, okay? Although Walt Disney would like you to jump on the train because he really loved trains. Did you know that fun fact? Anyway,
yes.
We are going to wrap up soon, but not before we take a look at everyone's favorite satire site, the Babylon Bee.
Here are this week's top 5 Babylon Bee headlines.
As always, you can vote, and Katie and myself have not seen the actual headlines, so our responses will be authentic. Let's go to numero uno and see what this one says. Top headline number 1, the resistance upset as government gets smaller. Number 2, Newsom founds underground railroad to help Mexican kids travel to work the marijuana farms.
Yep.
All right, that's good. Number 3, bear on California state flag moves to Texas.
Good one.
So 3 good ones so far. Let's go to the next one. Number 4, Mattel announces ICE agent Ken doll. Ooh, a Ken doll, ICE agent.
I like it.
And number 5, Justice Roberts gives KBJ a Magna Doodle to keep her busy during oral arguments. A Magna
Doodle. That would be funny. Magna Doodle. Did you not know like the Magna Doodle? That's just sketch, basically. Now. Basically, it's an extra sketch. But,
I do know. All right, Katie. You guys can vote out there in the comment section. Let us know. Out of these 5, which is number 1? What do you think is?
I don't know. They're kind of like all over the place here. Although I guess they are kind of all related at the same token. I just like the bear from California moving to Texas. I don't know why that just is appealing to me. Maybe because the bear looks pretty good on a Texas flag. It looks like it can be long. That's all right. Everything happening out in California, it's hilarious to me because it's like, we all know this was going to happen the way you present things. This is what happens when you decide, oh yeah, everyone come on in. Everyone, like everything's going to fall apart on you. But there's Greasem trying to still grease the skids. Yeah. And by his verbiage.
What's shocking is there's still a number of people that are going to support him if he runs for president on the communist left. But anyway, I would like to go with number 1, the resistance upset as government gets smaller.
How dare it?
How dare you reduce the size and scope of government and the power of the Fed? It's really amazing, but there we go.
Interesting. All right. Well, hey, everyone. That's going to wrap up this very special Monday episode of Educated. And don't worry, we will be back next Monday. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting what it is that we do here. Until next time, stay educated.